Hello, hi. Hello everyone. How's everyone doing? We're back with session number 4 of Know and Glow, and today we're talking about serums. So we're just waiting for Dr. Amee to join in, and we'll be starting shortly. Okay, Dr. Amee should be joining soon. How's everyone? Hello, hi Dr. Amee.
Hi, hi Rashmil, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good.
Good to see you.
Same here. So
Awesome.
tell me.
So, yes, welcome everyone. We're on session 4 of Know and Glow. This is so exciting. Um, I think everyone knows that Dr. Amee needs no introduction, but we have Dr. Amee. She is a dermatologist, skin specialist with over 20 years of experience, and she has shared with us a great wisdom on skincare over the last couple of sessions. If you guys want to check out our older sessions, please go to our page. Either you can go to Health and Glow or to Think Skin Clinic. Um, yes, I think today's session is really exciting because of the topic that we're going to talk about. Serums have been all the buzz when it comes to skincare. I think there's so much hype around serums today, and every influencer is talking about it. So many new brands are coming out with serums, and everyone wants to use them. But when I was thinking about it, and I was actually going to pick out a serum for myself, I was like, I know so little about serums. So I think that's where we also came up with the idea. And when we discussed, we said we need one full session for this because it's such an extensive topic. But here we are to share information about serums, how you can understand them, how you can use them, what to look out for. Do you need serums? How to pick the right one? And we're super, super excited to get this started. So welcome, Dr. Amee.
Thank you so much once again, and it's so good to be here. And I'm really looking forward to questions, because this is one topic which is very new. Serums are very new in our market, especially in the Indian market, and there's so much confusion added by like you said, influencers and so many other people talking about it. So it's wonderful today. So please, guys, ask as many questions as you want, and it might just help even others who probably will join later and cannot live actually ask those questions. So please do ask all your questions, and let's have a wonderful session.
Yes, I think everyone, whoever wants to bring in their serum bottles and sit there
Please,
in front of the camera, in
I've
front of
got
their
mine.
phone. Yes. Have a look at them. You can ask us questions about ingredients. Please use the question widget at the bottom to drop in your questions about the serums that you're using. Anything that you want to know, because we will deep dive a little bit into understanding how to read their labels, how to pick the right one for you, what to look out for. I think it's going to be super insightful. So please get your notepads, your notebooks, and your pens, because I know Dr. Amee is going to share some really exciting stuff with us. Awesome. So let's get started. Let's dive right into it. I think the first question, really, and the most apt one to begin with would be, what are serums? How are they different from other skincare products?
Yeah, so this is for everyone, not just the beginners, but even, you know, people who are using skincare for the last so many years, the most important thing one needs to remember is that serum is just a delivery mechanism. So you would have seen creams, you would have seen lotions, even ointments, you know, especially in medicine, in dermatology, we use a lot of ointments. So you would have even seen those. Now, what is the difference? The difference is only the base or the vehicle that carries the active product. Now, in a serum, the vehicle at the base is very, very, very liquidy, you know. So it's very easy for us to use these serums because they don't form a film or they do not cause a lot of occlusion of our pores and sweat glands. That's why serums now are preferred because they're so lightweight. The other thing about serum is because they are so lightweight in the base, the actives are very concentrated. Because if in a cream, it's much thicker. So when you apply a little bit, the active in that is that much less. But a serum is very liquid or fluid. So the active is that much more because it penetrates also easily because the base is very, very light. So if you remember in one line, if somebody asks me what is a serum, then it's just a lightweight but high potency skincare product. So you have to remember lightweight but high potency. So you can't use too much of a serum as probably you would use a cream or a lotion on your body because it's very potent. So that's what a serum is. And, it's very good to have high potency because when you look at our face, especially Indian faces, they're very small. So if I take a large amount of cream to actually get the effect of the active, I'll have to apply so much more. But if a serum, just a few drops, do the job of a large, otherwise, a quantity of a cream. So that's why serums are so much better and easier to use.
Right. I think the next natural question, and this is something that I was thinking about. I think now that we're all looking at social media and like we discussed, every influencer, every brand is coming up with the serum. It's really the hype right now in skincare.
Yes.
The question that was in my mind was, do I need a serum? Like, do I really need it? And how do I know whether I need one or not?
Yeah. So actually, again, going back to the basics, Rashmal, that serum is only a vehicle. So if I need a moisturizer, so I may not use a cream, I use a serum-based moisturizer. So it's just, something that it's your choice. The only thing people are all talking about serums is because it's very potent. So you actually start seeing results faster. So serums also are various types depending on its base. So you can have oil based serums, you can have water based serums, you have sometimes they are packed like cream based serums, we call them emulsions. So all these are all available. So it's not whether you need a serum or not, it's basically what you need for. So if you're saying I want anti-aging, you can use an anti-aging cream, you can use a lotion, you can use a serum. Moisturizer, you can use a C cream, lotion, or serum. So it's only what you need it for.
Right. And talking about some of these bases that you spoke about, like the emulsions, the gel base, the water base, what are these different bases? What difference do they make? How do you pick the right one for yourself?
Yeah. So see, any product, right, we use on our face basis what is our skin type. So very important. Now, if I have a very oily skin type, I would avoid using very creamy products, right? Because I don't want, extra oil on my face. The same thing. So there, I don't use oil-based serums because, sometimes oil-based serums can increase or make you feel a little greasy. So I use water-based serums. So it's very simple. Now, if you look up, let me show you. I don't know how much you guys will be able to see, but, let me see. Yeah. So if you see, can you see these drops? So this is an oil-based serum, very light. If you see, I just put 2 drops and you can see the face just shines. So this is just for moisturization. So it's just 2 drops for the entire face and you just look at the shine. So this is used. Now, if I want, say, water-based serum, because at night I'm using a retinol and I want it to be lighter. So now if I'll just show you. So this is more like a water-based serum. So it's very runny if you see. Yeah. And this has a lot of actives. So then when I put it, the water evaporates and the active
Hmm.
stays onto the skin and penetrates. So my retinols, I generally, we prefer to use water-based serums because then the water evaporates and the active
Right.
penetrates your skin. So depending on what your need is, what is your skin type, and which is the active you're looking for, you decide on your serums.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, knowing your skin type is so important here. And I think that's something that we always talk about. We've been talking about it in all our sessions, right?
Yes,
I think the first step to doing the right skincare is to know your skin type. And of course, for people who don't know their skin type, for people who, who want to know more about what their skin type is or are unsure, I think so many women also think they know their skin type, but it's actually something else.
yeah.
So for women, who want to know their skin type, we have skin expert. Dr. Amee has collaborated with us and helped us build this amazing tool for you to understand your skin type. So any of you confused about what kind of skincare you need, what kind of serums you need, I think Skin Expert is really a great tool for you to use.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Now, it always begins with knowing your skin type, So once you know that, things become much clearer. And as I said, once again, skin type is changes with weather, with seasons, with places. So it's not that you just decide once and that's your skin type. It isn't. It keeps changing. It's very dynamic. So you need to keep checking that.
Right. So I mean, we spoke about bases, but how do I really know what is the right serum for me to use? And, what we were discussing earlier when we were talking about this as well was that it depends on, what benefit you want your skin to get. So could you
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about that?
So see, if you look now, we are very sensitive. We put a lot of layers on our skin because we want all the actives to, come. Now, I will, if you just look at your AM regime, your morning regime, generally as a
Yeah.
dermatologist, we advise a face wash, a moisturizer, depending on whatever skin type you have, a moisturizer, especially the one that contains some active ingredients, like an antioxidant or, vitamin C or anything like that, and then a sunscreen. Now, if I have to give 3 or 4 layers, imagine 3 or 4 layers of cream on your face. It's going to be so heavy. And if you put makeup on top of that, even more. Now,
Yeah.
serum reduces that feel of heaviness because, as I said, a few drops are enough to give you the benefit. So now suppose you are, if you look at your skin, right, you just don't need much. You just need, say, a moisturizer and an antioxidant. So pick up
Yeah.
a serum that has a good moisturizing capability, like containing either squalane or containing glycerine, aloe vera gel. And along with that, an antioxidant could be vitamin E, C, resveratrol, any of those. So the amount of layering or the thick creams that are otherwise there on your face, which you feel very uncomfortable, reduces. So now
Yeah.
suppose you have pigmentation. Then at night, you use just a few drops of serum on your pigmentation wherever you have. It is much lighter on your face. So when you sleep, you don't feel very greasy or heavy. Right? So those serums contain, say, niacinamide, they contain kojic acid, they contain arbutin. So these serums then work very well on pigmentation. Similarly, anti-aging,
Mm.
you use retinols or natural retinols like bakuchiol,
Yeah.
those serums. So depending on what effect you want and what is the active you need, you pick up your serum. Right? It's very
Right.
similar to the way we pick up our creams or our lotions. Just that it reduces the heaviness on our skin when we're layering it with multiple actives. That's the advantage, and it's very potent. So, a very little for your pigmentation will do the job.
So we have a lot of questions coming in. I think this was anticipated,
Yes.
and pretty much related to what we've been talking about. So, Bhumi asks, which serum is good for beginners? So is there
Right.
something like that? Yeah.
So beginners is, when you've actually just started your skincare routine, and you're picking up products for the first time, it's best not to experiment. Always stick to the basics, and the basics are just three. Bhumi, you have to cleanse, preferably use a face wash, a very mild one, not with too many actives. The second then comes the moisturizer. Now here you can pick up a wonderful moisturizing serum. You can pick up with, say, hyaluronic acid. You can pick up something with glycerine, something with aloe gel, but don't pick up too many actives. The reason being that when it's a beginner and it's a potent serum, you do not want irritation or rash. So pick up these serums and then put your sunscreen. Use this for the next 2 to 3 months. Get your skin used to these products, and then you can start with something you specifically need. So, Bhumi, suppose you have acne. Then you can pick up serums containing niacinamide or salicylic acid so that it can work on the acne. If you have pigmentation, then accordingly. But initially, if you're beginning, stick to basics, stick to absolutely mild moisturizing serums. That's all.
So there was actually a question, Dr. Amee, by someone who was asking which serum is good for acne. I mean, the question was exactly which serum is good for removing acne spots, but I will let you take that.
Yeah. So yeah, see, acne is something that it's a phase. You get acne and the acne resolves. But what the memories that stay back are the scars, and it keeps reminding us that yes, we had acne, and acne scars are also considered a kind of pigmentation, especially the ones that are brown. The depressed, of course, are different, but the brown acne spots that she's talking about, we need lightening serums, So ideally pick up serums here which contain, lightening agents like arbutin. Arbutin is a wonderful lightening agent which is natural, botanical, and does not lead to dryness. If the pigmentation is a little stronger, then we add a retinol or a kojic acid in the serum, so that it works better. But remember, whenever you use all these products, they should always be used at night, because most of these ingredients are photosensitizing. So you'll actually cause rebound pigmentation if you use it during the day. And don't forget to use a sunscreen. That is very critical. And how should you read this? If you're looking at what is the active ingredient, if you pick up your serum, you check all the ingredients. And the ingredients that are the topmost are the most present in the serum. So if I'm looking at anti-pigmentation, then I check, is there niacinamide over here? Is there kojic acid? Is there arbutin up front? Then I know it's going to work on pigmentation. So check those, and don't forget your sunscreen.
Yeah, I think at this point I want to mention to everyone, if you don't have a notebook or something, you should actually come and write this down, because this is such important information.
Yeah.
And I mean, even that little, information that you shared about the first few ingredients being the most in the serum, that is so important, I think. In fact, I use a serum and the first ingredient in that is aqua. So I'm assuming then that means it's a water-based serum, right?
Yes, water is the maximum, and it's water-based.
Yeah.
So, you have to remember that these serums can run out very quickly, especially if you are in, in summers, or if you're in a place where there's a lot of humidity. These serums run out very quickly, because it just dissolves in the sweat and it dilutes. So these are the things that you need to remember. So when you're in a place which is extremely humid and you're sweating too much, ideally use only these serums at night, not during the day, because it's not going to work. Or use oil-based serums so that they remain on the skin.
Right. Understood. You mentioned in between when Bhumi asked her question that she should use her serums for 3 months. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask was also, how do you know if a serum is working? How do you know if it's good? How long should you wait to see that?
Yeah, see, that is one thing, I want to say is that patience is extremely important, because all these, things, they take time. Whenever you've got, say, a pigmentation, or you're noticing open pores, it's not overnight. It happens over so many years of exposure, pollution, not eating the right food, bad lifestyle. So when you start using a product, it's not going to work like magic, and then you just zoop, everything goes off. If anybody tells you that, or if they claim to say that, they're just bluffing. It cannot work so quickly. So you have to give it up to 6 to 8 weeks to actually start noticing some difference. But before you decide that the product is not meant for you, you should give it 3 months, because our skin cell turnover takes much longer. It's from 21 days upwards. So you can't actually decide until then. But of course, if you put a serum and it irritates your skin, you got to stop it immediately. You know, that comes into the allergic manifestation. But otherwise, at least give it beyond 8 weeks to decide whether that's working or not. And believe me, consistency is very important. So, you know, you apply it, say, twice a week, and then, you know, after 2 weeks, you say, oh, it's not working. But consistency is not there. So you're confusing your skin. One day it feels moist, the other day it's dry. It doesn't function normally then. So you got to be consistently using it to then decide whether it's working or not. That's very important.
Right. Yeah. I think for some of the people who've just joined us, just to tell you guys, we're talking about serums, everything to do with serums. We're really dissecting the topic. If you have any questions related to serums, please use the question widget, comment below, drop your questions, and we will take them up and answer them. Someone has asked, Sneha has asked, what is the correct way to apply a serum?
So Sneha, it's nothing great. Just remember what you know you're using. Always remember when you're layering up, the lightest should come first. So after your face wash, generally always serum first because that's the lightest. Then you put your cream if at all you're using, and then your sunscreen because that's the thickest. Now, how do you use the serum? Remember, never massage. Like I had shown earlier also, just a couple of drops you take, you know, in your palm and just lightly apply it. Never massage too much, just lightly apply because serums are very potent. If you massage it too much, they will irritate the skin, you know. So just apply it very lightly. If you're doing under eye, just dab it around the eye and just leave it. Wait for a couple of seconds before you put on your moisturizer. In case you don't have time, you can immediately put your moisturizer. It's absolutely fine. So serums always first before you use your creams and sunscreens.
I've been reading that you should use your serums twice a day, but you know, obviously, one doesn't end up, you know, using. I mean, skincare is a little hectic.
No, you don't
also
have to
sometimes.
use. You don't have to use your serum twice a day. You don't, because it depends on the active. If your serum contains
Yeah,
retinol, you can't use it twice. You know, so
right.
again, you know, again, I'm repeating this, that serum is only a delivery mechanism. It is not a active. So while I say you have to use, say, your moisturizer twice a day, serum is not a moisturizer. It's not the active. Serum is only a delivery mechanism. You know, it's just a vehicle. So you should base it only up on the active that is present. So now the serum that I used at Squalane. So Squalane I can use twice, but this is retinol. I can't use retinol twice. I only have to use it at night. So it all depends on the active ingredient present in the serum.
Right. And is there a better time? I think generally we have discussed this, but the night time is the time when your skin typically rests and rejuvenates. So would night be a better time to use a serum?
Again, it's all your actives. So if you're using a moisturizing serum, you use it twice. If you're using a retinol, you use it at night. If you're using hyaluronic acid, especially because you have dry skin, again, you need to use it twice. So your application depends on why you're using the serum. It's not the serum that you have to apply, it's the active that you have to apply.
Right.
So that is the thing to remember.
Another question. I don't know if many people have this question, but can you use two serums together? Is there
Yeah.
any issue with that?
Yeah, like we're using two creams together, right? We put an antioxidant cream and then we put a moisturizing cream and then we put a sunscreen. They're all creams. So it doesn't, unless the actives interact, which generally they don't, because these are over-the-counter medications. So they are not so strong as a drug, which, you know, we prescribe in the clinic. So you can safely use, just that I don't see the need. Because generally the serums that are available have multiple ingredients in them. They have a moisturizer, they have an antioxidant, you know, like a combination of vitamin C and hyaluronic acid. So it's a moisturizer plus an antioxidant. So you don't need to use multiple, you just use one and you're fine. But suppose you want to use a hyaluronic acid serum and then you want to put a retinol serum, you can use both of them. That's not an issue at all.
I've been also reading that some ingredients like, say, retinol and some similar ones, they do tend to dry out your skin. So, do you have any recommendations, especially for sensitive skin? Because, there are a lot of people with sensitive skin, and should they be careful about, what kind of serums they use or how they use the serums or in what combinations they use them?
See, the thing is, when you have sensitive skin, there could be two reasons. Generally, only 5% of people have sensitive skin. But unfortunately, 95% think they have sensitive skin, and it's not in the medical bracket of sensitivity. To tell you the
Right.
fact, in a day, if I see 10 women, 9 of them say, Doctor, I have sensitive skin, only one probably will be very naive to say, I don't, because sensitivity sometimes I think now is taken as, a pride, which it isn't. And not all these skins are sensitive at all. Out of these 9 who claim, I don't think even half of them have sensitive skin, so it is
Hmm.
not okay. Sensitivity could be if the ingredient doesn't suit you. So it's not that your
Right.
skin is sensitive, it's because you're not using the right products. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you have sensitive skin, never use retinol directly. Either you talk to your dermatologist, because retinols again come in various strengths. And more than the
Hmm.
strength of the retinol, it's very important of the delivery mechanism and what is the size. So, smaller the size, bigger the more the penetration, more the irritation. So when you pick up these products, it's best to speak to an expert, a dermatologist, to
Hmm.
understand which is the right percentage for you. If still
Right.
you insist that I want to use retinol and you're very charmed by probably a brand or an influencer, you always remember to dilute the retinol. Now, how do we dilute it? We just apply a moisturizer first, a moisturizing serum, not a cream. You use a moisturizer, then put your retinol serum, and then repeat your moisturizer once again. So it's like you're sandwiching your retinol molecules in between the moisturizer so that they don't irritate your skin. So that's one way that you can reduce the effect of retinol. But I still recommend that if a product is causing irritation, dryness, or redness, and in the morning when you wake up you feel that your skin is burning, especially when you splash water,
Right.
please do change your product, or speak to an expert. It's very important. And here, one more thing I'll recommend is that when you're picking up newer brands or newer products, always do a patch test. So, behind the ear, this is the most sensitive skin. So you can apply a few drops of the serum over here, leave it for 2 hours, and see how the skin is reacting. Generally, if here the skin doesn't react, your facial skin doesn't react. But still, that's a good way to check before you buy your product. Do a small
Yeah.
test.
So we've covered a little bit about serums, ingredients, how to use them, what one should consider as well in cases. And I think it'll be interesting to know from our audience as well. I think we should, why don't all of you just share what serums are you using? We'd love to
Yeah,
know.
that would be
So please
great.
do comment, share that with us. And, please again, do use the question widget. There is another question that has come in, and before we move into our next segment, I think we'll take this one. It's how frequently should we switch up serums?
So it depends on what you begin with. So if you begin with, say, a moisturizing serum, right? And then you want to start using more actives, then wait at least for 8 weeks to see that the serum is not, sorry, so sorry, that the serum is not causing any problem, and then start stepping up. And when you step up, right, always look at, as I said, the ingredients. Start with ingredients which are milder. Milder ingredients are generally moisturizing as well as antioxidants. So vitamin C, vitamin E, resveratrol, they are much milder than probably kojic acid, salicylic acid, glycolic acid, retinol. So that goes higher up because those cause more skin irritation because they're more active. So step up
Right.
like that, from moisturizer to antioxidants to alpha and beta hydroxy acid, and then to your retinol.
Right. Someone has asked, niacinamide serum is useful for what?
So niacinamide is nothing but a vitamin. It's a vitamin B3. Now niacinamide has multiple uses because this molecule is so wonderful. It can penetrate the skin if the product is good and it can work at the level of the cells. So one, it reduces inflammation. Now, inflammation is one of the causes of pigmentation, many a times even acne, redness, and sensitivity. So it reduces inflammation. When it reduces inflammation, it will reduce pigmentation by virtue. The third thing that niacinamide does is it works very synergistically with our lightening products like kojic acid, with our moisturizers like Squalane. It works even beautifully with retinol. So it adds to all the other actives. So that is why if you see most of our serums nowadays contain niacinamide, because it's a wonderful pair. You know, you can pair it with anything. You can pair it with retinol, with your hydroxy acids, with antioxidants, and it reduces inflammation. So, you know, it's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful product.
Right. Anita, I hope that answers your question. We have another question from Anu Snigdha. She is asking, can you suggest a serum for oily skin?
So if you have very oily skin, remember that using a moisturizing serum is very critical, because sometimes, you know, when we have oily skin, we apply a lot of drying products. Even our face washes contain alpha or beta hydroxy acid. We tend to scrub, we tend to peel. Now, those cases, what happens is the skin becomes dry. Then the brain thinks that the skin is dry and it causes rebound oil secretion. So using a moisturizer will prevent that. So if you have oily skin, pick up moisturizers like, which contain linoleic acid, which contain evening primrose oil, maybe even borage oil. You know, they work very well. You can use Squalane based products, because all these will give you natural sebum without causing excess sebum production. So those are the serums for oily skin.
Right. Sai is asking, how do I know what serum to use? And again, I think connecting to skin type, etc., right?
Yes, absolutely. You know, Sai, you really need to first figure out how your skin is behaving today. Now, suppose this is summer, right? So you're noticing your skin is sweating and, you're getting breakouts. So that's the time you need to use, serums which are oil-based currently, because if you use an oil-based serum, it will stay on your face. If you use water-based serum, it's going to flow off. The other thing is, if you feel still in summers, your skin is very dry, it looks dehydrated. Under the eye, you've started noticing lines coming up. That's the time you use hyaluronic acid-based serums, because they plump up the skin, they absorb water. So when you start sweating, they'll absorb that water and plump up your skin. So your lines and wrinkles will reduce. So again, it all goes on how your skin is behaving today in this weather. What is your skin type, and then choose. But if you're beginning, always begin with serums which are moisturizing serums, because they're the safest to use.
Yeah. I think going back to what you said, like the milder actives are better to start with, right? And Sai, for you, I think this is something that we have spoken about in like our first session, which is what Dr. Amee just said, that your skin does change with weather. So it is super important for you to know how your skin is behaving today and what it really needs. A super easy suggestion from my side to you would be to go to the H&G website, try out Skin Expert, because it's really just telling you what your skin condition is at this point and what it needs. So you don't even have to. So if you're confused about it, you don't know how your skin is feeling, or you're confused about what your skin type is or what it needs, I think this is just a super simple and easy way for you to get some accurate results. Okay, so I think, we wanted to cut the session into two parts. We also want to talk a little bit more about the ingredients and the labels on serums, right? Because that's so critical. I think in skincare, people want to be putting it on their skin. So it's so important to know. Before we get into that, I also just want to tell people that we, last session, we had some of you join us on video and ask your questions. We would love it if, you want to join us, ask your question live to Dr. Amee. So just drop in your question in the question widget below. And once we have your question and we call it out, we will invite you to join our live, and you can actually talk to Dr. Amee right here, face to face, which is amazing. So I think let's get into understanding ingredients, understanding labels. So would you like to give us a quick introduction into, serums and their labels, and how does one really read them? How does one really understand them?
So actually, any product that you buy, I would always recommend that, you first turn and check the ingredients, not just go by what is written in the front, because those are just claims. It's very important to know what you're putting on your skin. Like when we eat food,
Yeah.
right? Nowadays we check the nutrition box, how much energy, how many calories, how much sugar. We're always so wary of what we're putting inside. Same way, we need to check on what we're using, not just serums, but any creams that we use. That's the first thing. Now, second thing is, when you look at that, start with your ingredients top to bottom. As I said, the maximum will be right up there, So whatever,
Yeah.
like you said, aqua, so that's water. Sometimes there are
Mm.
oils. So, it starts with, say, sesame oil or sunflower oil or olive oil, it'll begin with that. And then the other actives come. So the first 3 or 4 are the ones that we're actually looking for. Subsequently, they're in very mild doses, very less. So that's the way you look at the ingredients. Again, in a label, the other thing you need to check is expiry date. Many a times, cosmetics, drugs, we are very wary. Each time you buy a drug, you're
Yeah.
going to check the expiry date, but you never check that in OTC. Like, a lipstick, you won't even know when was the
Yeah.
manufacture. Same thing goes with your creams and serums. Always check the expiry date, because one serum lasts quite some time. So if I showed you like a couple of drops. So if you're buying a 30 ml serum, it's going to last you for about 2.5 to 3 months. So you have to plan your expiry accordingly. So that's the next important thing that we need to check. The other thing that you need to check is, in these serums, there is something called the Fda approval. Because serums are
Mm.
very potent, it's important that the product is Fda approved. It will be there in your label. So these are a couple of things that you really need to check before you buy your serums, because you need to know if this is in place. Yeah. The next thing, of course, is when you look at the serum, you check what you want. Like suppose I want anti-aging, I want anti-aging serums, and I know in my mind I need anything with vitamin A, with retinol. It could be retinol palmitate, retinol, retinoic acid, anything. So that's the thing. Is your active high up there or not? Along with the active, what else is there? So your vitamin C, your vitamin E. So those are anyways antioxidants. You check for niacinamide, because that, again, as I said, is anti-inflammatory. You check for what is the base. Is there a squalane in that? Is there a glycerine? Is there an aloe vera gel, hyaluronic acid? Because that's going to moisturize or hydrate your skin. And basis that, you can decide what other products you need. Because if a product has everything, you barely need anything on top of that. You don't. You just put your sunscreen and you're good to go. Or at night, just put your serum and you're good to sleep. So,
Right.
that's the reason. So those are the things that you check before you buy the product.
Right. So I think we have someone who wants to join us for a live question. I think it'll be nice
Wonderful.
to do that.
Yes, please.
Pratishtha, sorry. Her question is, as a beginner in skin routines, I often wonder if natural oils are not better than processed creams. Okay, wow, Pratishtha really knows her thing. So I'm gonna invite her to
Yes,
join us.
please, please,
And
please.
awesome. Yes. Hi, Pratishtha.
Hi, thank you for
Hi.
having me.
Hi.
Hi, doctor.
Tell me, dear.
I I I just have a few queries and doubts. Especially as somebody who's just starting out into this whole skin routine thing, because it's usually people around you who tell you that it's time to take care of your skin, and there's too much
Yeah.
sun. Either there's too much sun or there's too much of AC going into your skin. Uh,
Yes.
so I'm So I'm always a little bit cynical about whether I should be using processed creams or toners, because there's several levels, right? पहले toner use करो, फिर serum use करो, फिर moisturizer लो. It's like, Oh my God, so much effort goes into it. So I'm just always wondering, I want to take care of my skin, but इतना सारा skin पे लगाने की बजाय, should I rather be going for oil, like natural almond oil or coconut oil on my face? That is one of the questions. I know it makes it greasy, but that's one concern that I have. So what would be the right approach to that?
Okay, so you're very right. Actually, you don't need all these layers, and unfortunately, skincare is now not become skin health. It's all about skin fear. They instill so much fear in you, like you're very rightly saying, and they make you put so many things which you just don't need, and you've got good skin. So you don't have to cure anything. What you just need to do is to take care. So very right, you can use almond oil, you can use evening primrose oil, you can use coconut oil. Remember to get the cold pressed versions and not the heated versions. So not wo jo heat karke coconut oil aata hai, don't get that, get the cold pressed version. Okay, and remember, whenever you're using an oil, right, don't apply it a little bit on moist face. Now the reason being that agar aap dry face pe lagaoge, you will tend to use more oil. Okay, so when you use more oil, there are more chances of it blocking your pores. If you've just washed your face, okay, let it be a little moist, then take the oil molecules mix with the water and form a beautiful shield. That's just good enough for you. But uske upar sunscreen zarur lagaiega. That's all you need, nothing else for your skin. At night, just put your coconut oil or your almond oil. That's more than enough. You don't need anything more.
Okay. Thanks. Just one more question, if I may ask.
Please.
Yeah. Just one more. I also think about how you said so much people expect you to put, right, so that your skin is healthy. But at what point should you also let your skin kind of breathe so that there's nothing on it? Because when there's nothing on it, it kind of feels a little bit weird and stretchy. So,
Yes.
So should we be taking a
There
break
isn't,
or?
yeah, see, actually, pehle ke zamane mein, it didn't matter because there was not so much pollution. Itna, like we are in the AC all day. Kitna dehydration hota hai skin ka. Plus we stay long hours, we apply makeup. There's so much that we do which earlier we wouldn't do. So earlier, to let your skin breathe and all was a good concept. But filhal, our normal skin is no longer normal because the external pollutants are so many. So you need to, kuch nahi to at least एक moisturizer zarur lagaye, just that. But there is no concept of breathing the skin. You put a moisturizer, still the skin breathes fine. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
I think one more thing, Dr. Amee, is, buying products which are non-comedogenic so that your pores are not clogged, right? So I think that's another thing maybe, Pratishtha, you can look at when you're buying a moisturizer or a sunscreen or even any other product.
But that's only when you have acne. So if you don't have acne, like a coconut oil for normal people would be comedogenic. If I have severe acne, I can't put coconut oil. But if you look at her skin, she could very, very well use an almond and a coconut oil without anything. So the comedogenic comes only when you have acne or you have a tendency to develop acne. Otherwise, anybody can use anything. So that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, you can use it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Bye. You take care.
Thanks, Pratishtha. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So we have one more question, an interesting one actually, from Rajesh. So Rajesh is asking, there are so many HA serums that are available.
Yeah,
It's confusing which one is better. So which HA serum is better?
So see, Rajesh, that's a very important question. Actually, here we go into chemistry, we go a little more into the formulation. Most molecules, right? HA is derived from various original products, right? And the molecular weight changes. So it starts from 4 to 4,000 Daltons, it just goes that much. The best is somewhere around 50 to 100 Daltons. So anywhere where hyaluronic acid is around 50 Daltons is which is going to penetrate. The 4,000 Dalton is never going to even go. It's just like, putting a piece of cloth on your skin. That's all. And the 4 doesn't go as much as we want it to go because it has very little activity. So around 50 to 100 daltons of hyaluronic acid is the best to use. And that will be the most expensive.
Right. One question when it comes to again the ingredients, and you spoke about how we should look at the first 4 or 5 ingredients to see what are the actual concentrates in in the serum, or what is the base.
Yes.
Most serums that you look at which have active ingredients like vitamins, other antioxidants, hyaluronic acid, niacinamide acid, some have multiple, and you can see on their bottles that it'll say 10% hyaluronic acid or 5% hyaluronic acid and 1% niacinamide and 1% salicylic. So what do those percentages mean for serums,
Yeah.
and does that mean anything important, and how should one read that?
See, ideally, it's not for a layman to understand those percentages because, it's extremely difficult even to remember. अब एक चाय बनाना बहुत easy है because इतनी अदरक, इतनी शक्कर, इतनी this because you do it every day. Now, it's very simple for us as experts because we understand what the skin needs. Now, a 1% salicylic acid to a drier skin might create havoc, whereas to an oily skin, a 1% salicylic acid won't even make any difference. So, although people put this on the bottles, a layman can never decipher it. So, trying to understand and going by percentages always is very confusing because then you start thinking, 10% is better than 3%. But if I go, if I just go on a limbo, I'm sure many people will not like this. But as a dermatologist, we have clinical trials which say that beyond 3% of niacinamide has no added benefit. So if you देख रहे हैं 3%, एक देख रहे हैं 10%, and you think, oh, 10% is much better for my skin, it isn't, because technically it's not going to penetrate anymore. It's just
Right.
that it's a marketing claim trying to make you take that product over another product. So, and imagine this is one, and as you rightly said, in each serum, there will be another 10 or 15 of them.
Yeah.
How are we going to even decipher which one is good for us? So the easiest way here is, to always do a patch test. So, whether it's suiting you or not, and always stick to what you want. So if you want anti-aging, stick to anti-aging. Then with anti-aging, don't try and get a lightening, because again, you'll get confused. If it's a retinol-based serum, it's retinol, you pick up the retinol and you use it. So that will be the best way to do it. Unfortunately, our markets are full of single ingredient products. That makes it very confusing, because then you want a niacinamide, then you want a retinol, then you want a hyaluronic acid. How many serums are you going to use? That is what is making it very confusing. I would advise a product which contains a combination, because then the number of applications that you have to put is much lesser. And as I told you, a higher percentage does not mean it's going to work. So
yeah, I think subconsciously, or that mentality is always there, that higher matlab it's better.
Yes, we're always comparing, So that's the reason. And see, it also depends on the pH. So now if I say my glycolic acid is 6% and somebody comes up with 12%, but if my pH is much lower, our skin pH is around 4.7 to 5.2, 5.5 sometimes. In that range. Now, if I do a 4% or a 3%, I'm actually making my skin more acidic, right? Okay. So it peels much more. It's like acid, you put acid, say, in your bathroom, to clean the stains. So pH, once it gets lighter or lesser and lesser, your skin starts peeling more and more. There is more exfoliation. So there is 6% glycolic might have a pH of 3, and your 12% glycolic might have a pH of 4. So the 4, although it is 12%, will irritate your skin less, whereas the 3% will irritate it much more. So, all these technicalities are not written on the boxes, they don't write.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, do they actually disclose the pH aspect?
No. Very few of them do disclose. I have seen in some of them where there is an AHA, BHA used. They do disclose the pH, but again, it's very dicey because it also depends on the other products you're using. So if you're using a face wash which contains a AHA or a BHA, anyways your pH is low. And then on top of that, you use a lotion. So it's all so much dependent that it's always better to do tests before you actually start using and feel that it's working for you or not. Very
Yeah,
important.
yeah. So I just want to put this out there for everyone. If there's any ingredient, and we'd love to know from y'all, because this is how we make it relatable, interactive, and more informational for you. But if there is an ingredient that you have seen in a serum that has confused you or that you're unsure of,
Yes.
please do put it in the comments below, or you can ask us a question. We'd love to answer that for you, because this session is all about serums and their ingredients. So we really want to make it, more informational for everyone. So yeah, please feel free. We'd love to know what ingredients you think about that confuse you, you want to know more about, and we'll
Yeah.
definitely, pick that up.
Yeah, just to
Um,
give you an example, there was one patient who came and told me, there is tocopherol. Now, what is tocopherol, doctor? I'm very much
yeah,
confused, and it's just so simple as vitamin E. So it's just that people keep using difficult names, and you think, okay, it must be something really great, but generally it isn't. It's just a basic thing. These are all chemical names that we use, for the
right,
product.
right. One question, doctor, is there something that one should be wary of? Something that one should absolutely avoid, or when you're looking at labels and reading them, what is it that you need to actually know? What is not, what is actually hazardous or harmful, so to say? What are those things that one should look for?
See, ideally, Rashmal, all are, so in India, we have a very stringent Drug and Cosmetic Act. So generally, these products, at least the good brands I'm talking about, always have to get a brand FDA approval. So
Right.
the FDA approval actually checks the entire formulation, only then
Hmm.
gives them the license. So most good brands, if you turn around and see just where the manufacturer is there, below that the
Yeah.
license number is written. So generally they don't use hazardous chemicals. Mostly them is arsenic, lead, mercury. These are absolutely hazardous, which should not be used in any form. And FDA is quite, stringent about this. They don't let them use it. There are certain other controversial things. One is like petroleum. Like petroleum jelly, we call it, it is a non-renewable resource, So we are
Yeah.
increasing our carbon footprint. So there is one, school of thought, and we as dermatologists always say that avoid petroleum jelly because we have better products available. So that is one thing. The second is mineral oils. Mineral oils also we avoid, again, as you rightly said, comedogenic. So if a person doesn't
Yeah.
know how their skin type is, we avoid mineral oils in those patients. Then there is paraben. Now, paraben, there are certain trials that have been done, and a lot of research where they say it could be linked to sensitivity and very rare cases of cancer, including sulfates. So we try and use the milder variants, and we try and avoid parabens in most of our products. So these are the few things that we
Those are
need
the
to
things.
look for. Yeah, these are just the
Right.
few ones, but rest, arsenic, lead, and all is now thankfully out.
Yeah, yeah. So we're pretty close to the end of the session, and I think before we wrap up in the next 5 minutes, I just want to share that we're on session 4 of Know and Glow. I think it's been really a great journey from session 1 for us, and I think every time we're trying to do something a little different and a little more informational. So to make this even better, up until now we have been discussing topics that we feel are more trending, and things that people would want to know. But we really want to hear from our audiences, our followers, and all of you. Please do drop in your suggestions for our next session. We haven't actually decided what our next session is going to be on, because we want you to decide.
Yes.
So please drop in those recommendations. Please comment below, and do share with us what you would like to hear from us next, what you would like to know from Dr. Amee as well. And we'd love to do a session on that. You can also DM us. So it doesn't matter if the session's over. You can DM us. You can DM Dr. Amee. You can DM Think Skin Clinic or Health and Glow on Instagram. We'd love to hear feedback, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on what our next session should be about. Okay, there
Yeah,
are a couple
that'll
of
be
more
really good.
questions.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
there are
take them.
So Ruchi has asked, what do you apply after putting serum, and can you suggest a serum for sensitive skin?
So Ruchi, the first thing is, if you have sensitive skin, try to take moisturizing serums. You know, serums that contain hyaluronic acid, glycerine, aloe vera gel, never cause any problem, you know. So always use it morning and night, preferably these serums. Use it first, immediately after your face wash. That's very important. And on top of that, you can put your creams. So, you know, in case you're putting a BB cream or anything, last is your sunscreen. If you're using makeup, then it's over the sunscreen. Nowadays, we get these wonderful, you know, tinted sunscreens. So, you know, they work as
Hmm.
foundations too. So you just put your
Right.
sunscreen, which is your base. And then on top of that, you can use your, you know, makeup directly. The advantage of these serums is that they work also as primers. So, you know, you in these cases, because you know your serum works as a primer or a base for your serum for your makeup. So ideally use that for sensitive skin.
Yeah. So I think before Dr. Amee, you give us a quick summary. I just want you to wrap up the session maybe in the end. I just wanted to mention that, um, we have worked on this tool called Skin Expert. And I just wanted to share with you guys why, this is such an incredible tool to use. Apart from the fact that it's really free of cost, but that's not the important part. The important part is, like Dr. Ami said, you're so particular about what you eat, and you're so particular about what you put inside your body and the clothes you wear or the fabric you wear. And I think we're not as particular about what we put on our skin, and we're not as informed about what we put on our skin. So it's really about knowing what's going to suit your skin. Today we go by recommendations, we think we know our skin type, but we don't understand that our skin type changes. It changes with age, season, with time, and really you should take more consideration while picking up skincare or while building your regime. So Skin Expert allows you to do that. You all you need to do is take like a 2-minute test on our website or on our app. You can walk into a Health and Glow store and you'll have a store expert help you in taking the test as well. And it really gives you a detailed analysis of your skin on 10 factors, not just telling you your skin type, but also analyzing your skin condition and recommending products that would be suitable. So if you also are confused about what serum to use, this would be a great starting point for you to also figure that out.
That's right, Rashmal. Yes, totally. And
Okay, so
yeah.
Go on. Yes.
No, I was just reading one of the questions over here that, I think they joined it late. So they asked when do I use my serum? So again, I'm just repeating, serum always the first after face wash, especially your moisturizing serums. It's the best to use at that time.
Yes. So, Dr. Amee, maybe you can give us a quick snapshot of all the things we discussed, and we'll wrap it up post.
Yeah, okay. So serums are wonderful. It's a delivery mechanism and they're very lightweight. That's excellent. And they're very potent. So always remember that the amount of serum you use are just a couple of drops, not like a cream where you use much more. Serums are always used first, immediately after face wash. If you're beginner, just starting out with skincare routine, always better to use bland serums without much of actives. You can pick up an oil-based serum that contains the actives like, safflower oil, sunflower oil, squalane. These are the basic serums that you can begin with. Or you can begin with water-based serums containing hyaluronic acid, aloe vera gel, glycerine. So these hydrate your skin and also nourish it. So over this, you can use your creams, you can use other serums, especially at night if you're using a retinol based serum. In the morning, layer it up with your sunscreen always. When you use serum, do not massage too much, especially if it's a retinol or an active serum, because that tends to irritate your skin because it's very potent. So just lightly apply it till you feel it's completely spread. That is it. whenever you use serums, remember to wash your face first. Otherwise, the penetration is less. So if you've just come back from work and you apply directly a serum, it may not give you the benefit you're looking for. Washing off the grease from the surface of the skin will help better penetration of the serum. So that's about it. And always do a patch test, especially if you're using serums with actives. Do it on your neck or just behind the ear. Keep it for 2 hours. If there is no irritation, you can start using it on your face. Give it some time, at least 6 to 8 weeks before you decide the serum is not for you, because skin takes that much time to show effect. So be patient and be consistent with your serums.
Yeah, so important. An amazing session, Dr. Amee. One last thing also that I wanted to just highlight is that typically your serums do have, all the certifications mentioned at the back, whether they're vegan, whether they're paraben free, whether they're
Yes.
cruelty free. So do look out for those as well. And if you guys want to go back and understand more about what ingredients are suitable to what benefit, and what serums are, suitable to what benefits, do watch this session once again, because we did discuss that in quite a bit of detail. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Amee. This was a great session. We'll
Yes.
look forward to all your recommendations on what our next session should be about. So please write to us.
Yes. We're all
And
waiting for
have an
that.
amazing weekend.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks, Rashmil. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Amee. Have a great
Yeah.
weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.